We all think we know how to spot a liar, the twitchy eye, the nervous sweat, the crossed arms. But relying on these physical tells is a fatal mistake. I have spent decades as an interrogator and behavioral analyst for federal agencies, including the Secret Service, sitting across from some of the world's most practiced manipulators. Take the case of Philip Garrido, a serial kidnapper who held a young girl captive for 18 years. When I interviewed him for 4 days to determine his involvement in another disappearance, I wasn't looking for a nervous physical tic. The actual indicators of his deception lived entirely in the timeline. When a liar is confronted with unexpected complications in their story, their narrative structure fractures. Garrido handled those complications consistently over 36 hours of intense questioning. Deception is a cognitive load, not a physical reflex. Manipulators consistently outsmart people because human biology hardwires us to watch for body language, blinding us to the actual mechanics of a lie. This same biological trap ruins our everyday conflicts. When we anticipate a dark conversation with a toxic colleague or an antagonistic family member, our immediate instinct is to label them a narcissist. We do this because it's a highly effective defense mechanism. Slapping a clinical label on an opponent allows us to assign all the blame to them without doing the heavy lifting of understanding their actual motives. It makes us lazy communicators. The exact moment you place a manipulator into a neat pop psychology box, you stop paying attention to what they are actually doing in the room. You blind yourself to their tactics and immediately surrender control of the engagement. When a manipulator goes on the offensive, your body reacts to the stress by shifting into self-preservation. Your ego goes on the defensive, and your auditory processing literally shuts down. You stop hearing what they are saying and start protecting yourself. In a calm state, researchers measure our ability to read a partner's thoughts and emotions using a metric called empathy accuracy. Even with a significant other, we top out at about 40% accuracy on a normal day. This chart shows baseline empathy accuracy. Watch what happens when emotional stress is introduced. Accuracy drops to a 15% threshold. To recover, apply cognitive inhibition. By narrowing your cognitive bandwidth to a single point, your accuracy climbs back up. You achieve this focus using the PLAN framework. By anchoring yourself to a specific purpose and asking targeted questions about their behavior, you stay tethered to the mission, even while the manipulator actively attempts to flood your zone with insults. Surviving a manipulator isn't about matching their energy. It requires manually overriding your biological urge to fight back, prioritizing strict cognitive discipline over an emotional reaction. In the United States, there is a surprising systemic reality in law enforcement. Federal agents are legally permitted to lie to suspects to extract a confession and close a case. This tactic is pure manipulation. It forces a suspect in a specific direction because it benefits the interrogator, making it a short-term, selfish strategy designed strictly for an immediate victory at the expense of the target. True influence works in the exact opposite direction. Influence requires absolute honesty and self-congruence. You present the facts completely transparently, securing long-term, voluntary compliance because the target actually trusts your baseline integrity. If a manipulator throws insults at you and you return fire to get even, you abandon influence and adopt their strategy. The moment you resort to a manipulator's deceptive tactics, you fall victim to their game. You lose your composure, and ultimately, you surrender control of the room. Stripping away labels, managing your ego, and refusing to manipulate keeps you in the driver's seat. Yet, even with perfect cognitive control, you are still left facing chaotic, ambiguous human choices. Consider a patrol officer pulling over a 16-year-old drunk driver in a luxury sedan. The officer faces a massive dilemma: arrest the teenager, ruin his record, and tow the car, or call the parents and risk the kid driving drunk again next week. Both opposing choices carry immense risk. Searching for a flawless answer to that dilemma is a trap. Hindsight bias tricks us into believing there was a clear, perfect path, paralyzing us into waiting for absolute certainty before we act. The ultimate hallmark of great leadership is the exact opposite of paralysis. A true leader executes highly consequential decisions with the bare minimum of certainty. When the presidential order was given to raid the compound in Pakistan, they had never positively identified the target.
The highest levels of the government risked American lives based on a 51% certainty that Osama bin Laden was inside. Your goal in a dark conversation is never to magically fix a toxic person. You will rarely find a perfectly clean resolution. Outsmarting a manipulator is not about destroying them. It is about making a definitive choice in the dark, owning the outcome of that choice, and maintaining absolute, unbreakable cognitive control over yourself.